table with Dr. Daryl Joffrey, celebrity nutritionist, chiropractor, and all around leader in health and expert. So I just want to say that 6 weeks ago, we launched this amazing acid cooking meal plan in partnership with Dr. Joffrey and his philosophy. And in just 6 weeks, the results we're getting from clients is amazing. We have a client who's suffered with a hernia and just thought acid reflux was a permanent symptom the rest of her life. 5 days on the acid kicking meal plan, her symptoms were gone. We have another client that suffers with inflammation around her knees and her joints. She's been on the program 3 weeks. She is moving better. She feels better. And it's story after story. And so I thought we only have 30 minutes. Let's take a deep dive into some of your favorite success cases in your practice. Because I know we're only touching the iceberg 6 weeks of doing this. And I can't wait to see what progress we're going to make with our customers in the next year.
Yeah, and this is so exciting, by the way. I mean, just the fact that we're getting these amazing testimonials that someone could be on an acid-kicking diet and meal plan and literally see these amazing changes happen in their body. That's the power. The power that made the body is the power that heals the body. This is what we're working with, and we just got to get out of the way sometimes and let the body do what it was designed to do, but it needs those strength foods. And, something like acid reflux, that's something that I'm very passionate about. That's what my dad dealt with. That eventually causes esophageal cancer. I wish we knew the things that we know now back then. Maybe this could have been prevented, but this is why we're here. This is why I love you, Tricia, and thank you for having me on. And this is why we, partnered up, because we are passionate about the same things. And when we get these testimonials and hear about these results people are getting, when you just said those couple things just then, I get chills every time. Right. This never gets old because this is real life. These are people that we're talking about, humans just like us. And we all deserve to be healthy. We all deserve to have a good life. And I read a study this morning. I'm not sure if you saw this, but because of COVID-19 and all the craziness with stress eating and the pandemic, which we're still dealing with, the life expectancy at 78.7 or 78.8 years, it decreased a full year to 77.8. And that's just from 1 year of all this stress. So this is something that, we got to take serious. I talk about drawing that line in the sand, and it starts with the food. You can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. So there are some key supplements that we need to be doing, but the most important thing is getting these healthy, strength, alkaline foods. And when you do that, it's amazing the success stories that we see.
If you could tell people, I think this is useful, what are the top 3 things you can add to your diet now for small incremental change? And then on the other side of that, what are the top 3 things that you would recommend people taking out of their diet?
Good question. Oh boy.
I know your answers.
They're always changing. Well, the number one answer is going to be the core of a strength eating diet is green juice. I've had 3 today. I live on it. It's so powerful, but just adding 1, the second you wake up, it should be the very first thing that we all do. The first step in the new book, Get Off Your Sugar, is about remineralizing your body, remineralizing your diet, because that's probably the single biggest deficiency I'm seeing in the standard American diet, which is the SAD diet, is the minerals. And what mineral tops that list? It's magnesium. When you're looking at sugar craving, sugar addiction, and just toxins in general, the body needs about 54 molecules of magnesium to neutralize only 1 molecule of sugar. So our bodies are being depleted of it because of the sugar that we're eating, from the stress that we're dealing with. And it's just not in the soil anymore. That's the biggest thing, So I would say green juice is number 1. Number 2, we got to get those healthy fats in. It's so important. So increasing healthy fats, whether that's avocado, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil. I know this might not sound too exciting, but it actually tastes pretty good. But doing something like taking a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and then the juice of half of a lemon. There's a few names it's been nicknamed now. We call it the belly fat burning shot or the sugar craving busting bomb. All these, I love when all the people out there are nicknaming it, which is great. But you mix that and you drink that, and literally it's amazing what those minerals in the lemon juice does and what those high alkaline keto fats do to your liver, to the gallbladder, cleansing, detoxifying. And that's so important. It's not just about getting the nutrients in. It's about really just supporting our body and detoxifying, because we've been more toxic ever than human history, right? So I would say that's a very, very important one. And I think also we got to get some of those fiber-rich, slow-burning carbs into the diet. The microbiome is so important, whether that's a sweet potato, a purple potato, some wild rice and quinoa. They're not grains. Quinoa is a seed, and obviously wild rice is a grass. why those are important is they kind of just help get rid of all that like gunk in the gut. And just as important, if we're eating a high sugar diet or we're eating crappy carbs, they slow down that metabolization of the sugar in our diet, and it just really helps prevent insulin spikes and things like that. So those are three things I think are very, very important. And it's just about adding, just add, add, add. I also love smoothies. I love soups. There's a lot of different things that we do, but I would say those are my three ads. The three takeaways. Well, my whole focus is by adding the healthy stuff naturally, the bad stuff's going to kind of just go by the wayside. That's how I beat my lifelong addiction to sugar. That's the whole process of the new book. But if I was going to say what are the three top poisons to the body, it's sugar. Number one is a big shocker, right? Sugar is not even a food. It's a substance. It's an addictive substance. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. It's a drug. It's America's drug of choice. And all the things that sugar hides out in. Artificial sweeteners, number 2, got to be very careful of those. Remember, not all sugars are created equal. So artificial sweeteners, especially the stuff you find in coffee shops and, diners and things like that, the pink packets and the blue packets and the white packets, the stuff is pure poison. One of those packets alone will wipe out your microbiome by 50%. So artificial sweeteners and grains. We should not be eating grains ever. Our body was never designed to eat grains. Grains is going to basically punch holes in your gut, which is what we call leaky gut. That's how the toxins and inflammation and these stealth pathogens that we're always testing for in the gut, that's how they get into the body. Plus, it spikes up your blood sugar levels just like sugar does. So we got to remove the grains, even something, like oatmeal. I'm not saying don't eat it, but if you are eating it and you love it, alternate it maybe every 4 days or so. But ultimately, the goal is to move away from things like that and get into a healthier diet. I remember when one of my clients emailed me, they were on the acid kicking meal plan and they got the bagel, which I love. It's such an amazing thing. And I knew there weren't any grains in it. But I wanted
to get cause a freak out.
Yeah. I had to reach out to the master chef herself, Trish, over here, and say, what's the specific ingredients in that? Because you're always tweaking it with your amazing knowledge. And then I sent it back to her, and she was blown away. She's like, I cannot believe that this is actually a healthy bagel. So that's the coolest thing about this. It's not a deprivation approach. These foods taste so good, you think you're cheating, but that's the whole goal. They're strengthening your body. They're lowering inflammation. They're boosting energy. They're helping your resilience. That's what the acid kicking meal plan is all about.
Amazing. We added one more ingredient to that bagel that I think you'd appreciate. We added in kuzu root because it helps lower blood sugar response. Yeah. So it's just super cool. So keep packing more little magic into it, including black seeds and our everything bagel mix and really fun stuff.
Yeah. That's the coolest thing. You find these really incredible ingredients that you don't see in anywhere else out there, and so many things that are seasonal, but something like the black seed, 3 times stronger than turmeric. It's an active antioxidant 1,000 times more than vitamin E. So having that in the food that you eat, it's just amazing how that's going to add up. But you take that ingredient plus that, and there's a stacking effect to the ingredients that we're using in this meal plan. It's really powerful.
Yesterday blew my mind, and everyone I shared it with. Yeah, I know you don't have the slides because we're on a webinar, but can you talk through it and talk about your patient and the progress they made and how they came to you first?
Yeah, I got a lot of DMs from that post yesterday. It was pretty crazy. So one of the things I do in the office is called live blood cell analysis. It's so powerful. We take a drop of blood from the fingertip, we put this under the microscope, and then we magnify that by 25,000 times. And in real time, we're looking at your alive blood. This is different from a conventional test. When you go to the doctor, they take your serum blood. That's looking at the quantity of your blood, which is important too. You have to know how many white blood cells you have and how many red blood cells you have. And this is my vitamin D level. But there's some limitations to that as well. When we do the live blood cell testing and we look at this on a screen, we're looking at what we call epigenetics. And what I mean by that is how your lifestyle choices are actually affecting you down to the very cellular level. And we have to understand is that the quality of our health comes down to the quality of our cells. If we could build stronger cells that oxygenate our body more, that's going to make us more resilient. They've done studies on this showing that when your red blood cells degenerate prematurely, and we can see this on the live blood cell test, it's the only cell test that you can see this, then different types of pathogens, whether it's coronavirus or flu, influenza, or even the common cold, it has the potential to basically penetrate that cell faster, causing you to get sicker. So every time I'm looking at the blood, I'm thinking, why did the blood get that way? And what can we do to turn that around and strengthen it to just change and make a health transformation. So that specific client came into me about 4 months ago. Was already doing a bunch of my things. She's done my detox a few times, so she was knowledgeable, and she lives, was eating a pretty clean diet. But like most of us, there was a lot of ups and downs, sugar and things like that. So we did her first live blood cell test when she came in, and I posted that video yesterday. I did the before and after in the video, and basically, like, when you look at your red blood cells, they should be round. They should be nice and symmetrical, and most important, they should be separated. When the blood becomes acidic, toxic, inflamed, and usually leaky gut is the cause of that, because in our microbiome, you have the gut and you have the blood. There's this like big dam that should be there. That's job is to get the nutrients in and kick all the bad stuff out. But when that dam has been penetrated from sugar and grains and artificial sweeteners, antibiotics, who hasn't been on antibiotics? That's like a napalm bomb going off in your gut. Will cause leaky gut for 2 years. It allows things to enter. So I can see on that screen, and so can the client I'm coaching, exactly how their lifestyle choices are affecting their cells. We can see inflammation. So on that picture, we saw all of her cells were all stuck together. There's a term, they look like kind of like worms. There's a term that we call, it's called rouleau. It's a French word, which means like a coin stacking on one another. And that's what her blood looked like. It's a sign of
digestion. Actually, it looked like cheese doodles.
I like, oh, that's even better. I like that.
They totally look like cheese doodles.
I got to ask her if she was eating cheese doodles. That would be even better if she was. I probably don't think that was on her list, but that's the new term for it. So it was cheese. She had cheese doodles in her blood. And basically, we took cheese doodles. We made them beautiful, round, circular. So we did a post-test yesterday. It was so fortuitous because it was her 50th birthday. She's from Hawaii. She came in wearing a lei, which I love because my soul is Hawaiian. And again, here's the most important thing is that the blood never lies. So she was feeling better. And the coolest thing was one of her main concerns was her skin. Something I related to because when I was younger, not only was I addicted to sugar, I had melasma, which is where you get all these like dark brown spots on your skin. It was so bad. I went to a few different dermatologists. They put all the lotions and potions and things on me. It never worked because they never went to the underlying cause, which was my gut that was just a wreck from all the sugar and antibiotics I had as a kid. So anyway, the coolest thing was she took her mask down and her skin was completely clear. It was amazing. Like, I get the chills again just thinking about it. She was thrilled. And that was one little thing. It was a big thing for her, obviously, but her energy was up. Her weight was down. I mean, the amount of things that she rattled off. But the best part was when we took the new blood prick and we put it on the screen. I'm not going to say the words, but her first words response was WTF. But it was I wrote this in the post yesterday, but it was a really good WTF. She was so shocked and surprised, but not really because she put the work in, right? I said just before, the blood never lies. So if she didn't make a change, guess what? The blood wouldn't have changed. In fact, it probably would have changed. It probably would have gotten worse. They were separated. They were oxygenated. She had very little inflammation in the blood. The candida, the yeast that was in her blood from the sugar was astounding on the first test. I saw just a few particles of yeast, which we all have a little bit of, right? But just the transformation was unreal. And what I loved about yesterday is that it just gave her some objective validity because she worked really hard over the 4 months. She really put the work in. She got on this strength eating diet. We put her on some specific supplements to really help heal and seal her gut lining. She kicked acid, and she's an acid kicker, right?
It's amazing because I think most people think it takes years to make a change in health or a change in their body or for things to shift around. And to think that this woman went through such amazing health transformation in only 4 months, it's amazing and powerful.
Yeah. And why we choose, Trissa, 4 months is that's the lifespan of your red blood cells. They last 4 months. So I knew that when I started with her, that 4 months from now, that would be a completely 100% new rollover of her red blood cells. So you could literally recreate an entire new you. It's the same thing with cravings. How did I get over a lifelong addiction to sugar in just a few weeks, 3 weeks, literally, because your taste buds reset themselves every 14 days. I had so much leptin and insulin resistance. That's why I was craving the sugar. It's like you need more of that drug to get you high. It's the same thing with sugar. I needed more of that sugar just to get me neutral, to get the same kind of sweet response. And that's what happened. So you can flip that switch. And the reflux client you talked about, just a few days, 5 days, reflux gone. Yep. I mean, it's that's the power of what you put on your fork and what it could do to your body.
An article in the New York Times about New York Post, about a major client transformation. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, this was incredible. It was actually the cover of the New York Post. His name was Paolo, and his wife Jackie was a client for years. She was a chiropractic client of mine, and as she started, she was having some autoimmune issues. She talked about, so we put her on my detox, and I started working with her nutritionally. But for most of us guys, we're usually the last one to go into the doctor. I was that guy too. But she got such great results. He had gained so much weight. He was 52 years old, and it got to the point where it was so bad it landed him in the ER, the emergency room. He had a crippling case of diverticulitis and IBS, irritable bowel, which I suffered with when I was younger as well. And it was so bad that he couldn't literally move. And he went into the ER as he should have, just to get him out of that crisis situation. But it was a wake up call for him, and he realized that he needed to make a radical change in his lifestyle. And of course, his wife did as well. So he came to me, and I felt like we really needed to do something to really reset and recharge his batteries. So we put him on a 7-day detox. And literally in the 7 days, he lost 15 pounds. I mean, it was that incredible. And we have amazing before and after pictures. If you saw it, I mean, you just won't believe the transformation. And then in 30 days, he had lost 30 pounds. And he just kept going, we just kept adding. We worked on his diet. We worked on the supplements that he needed, that he was deficient in. We worked on really just removing some blocking factors to some lifestyle stressors that were going on. So really those 3 buckets were the key strategies and approaches that I had with him. And in just under 12 months period, he had lost something like 85. What he did to make positive changes in his health. Obviously he knew he needed to lose weight, but that wasn't his motivation. His motivation was his 2 little ones, the twins that he has. And obviously realizing that this is something serious. So he had that why. I always talk about, you need to get that strategy. You need to get that solid eating plan in there, but you want to really surround that around a powerful reason, compelling purpose, why you do what you do. He had that. So there was nothing that was stopping him from getting to where he needed to go. And he got there fast because of it. But it was incredible. He got his life back. And when you see that picture, it's not just the weight loss I see his face, and I see the expression. I could literally see the happiness and the health and the life and the vitality back into his body just in the picture. So it was a pretty powerful transformation. And there's so many like that. It's just incredible what can happen from just what we eat and how we go about lifestyle changes.
Right. I mean, I think now, even as we're kind of tail ending during the pandemic, we get clients all the time. It's anxiety, it's stress eating, so many factors. And could you speak a little bit about the acid kicking meal plan as it can relate and help anxiety and gut function?
Yeah, I mean, it kicks acid. That's what I got to say. I mean, it's first of all, it's absolutely delicious. It's absolutely delicious. I remember the first time. My kids are always my litmus test for anything that I do, and kids are honest. They're always going to tell you if it's real, if it's not real. So, when I first got when you sent it out to me, and I was, testing the recipes, and I was blown away first by the way it came to me. What I love is how every little detail is taken care of, from how that package gets to you, sustainability, how you source ingredients. So I was already blown away by that. And I always say this, every check mark on my list was checked, and that was very important to me. GMO free, organic, obviously dairy free, alkalizing, strength, all those, every check mark was checked. But when we opened it up, and the kids started eating it, they went crazy. And my daughter is that Braden is my 6-year-old. He's the easy one. I mean, he's like making his alkaline videos. He made Kelly's pancakes this morning. I was so impressed. I was screwing up the pancakes the first couple of times. He nailed them on the first time. But Aaliyah is always the challenging one, and she was devouring the food. So that was my litmus test. They passed the test. It was so yummy. And, it's really featuring, many of the incredible recipes from the new book, Get Off Your Sugar. And of course, the best of from Get Off Your Acid. And we had so many recipes. And what I love about it is that we get all those macros in. That's the key thing. And when I say macros, we're looking at lots of greens, lots of healthy keto fats. Obviously, we're getting some protein, which is very, very important, but not too much protein. It's the big mistake I see with a lot of people, especially the standard American diet, is that the average person's getting 5 times the amount of protein that they need. So you could be eating a super clean diet, but if your protein is too high, above 20% of your calories, then what happens? It actually turns to sugar in your body, in the liver, via something called gluconeogenesis. So it's very carefully strategized in terms of what those macros are. And then, of course, you're getting your fiber-rich, slow-burning carbs. And listen, I do eat wild-caught fish here and there, so some of the recipes do have that as well. And it's incredible. You know, my wife is a vegan, so there's many recipes that she can have. So here's the coolest part: is it doesn't matter what your health philosophy is. This is about the acidity in your body. You're getting all those healthy macros, but what's the point of the way we created these recipes? It's reducing the acid in your body, and acid equals inflammation. At the core of every health issue I see with all my clients over the years, inflammation is the root cause. From skin issues to weight gain to insulin resistance to diabetes, all the way to chronic degenerative diseases like cancer, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes of the brain, parallels inflammation of the brain. So that's what these ingredients do. And when they come together, they taste great. It's going to give you energy. But the reason why it does all those things and why your symptoms get so much better so quickly is it's reducing the acidity in the body, and that reduces the inflammation levels. And when all that goes down, the best part is your body doesn't have to work so hard to do the regulating on its own. So I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt right now, and it's a blizzard out here in New York. If I went outside right now, my body has to start to work really, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, I have to work so much harder to keep my temperature at 98.6. And your body will do that. But how does it do that? It starts to shiver. It uses its own energy and its own resources to keep you alive. But you have to get out of the cold. And if you don't get out of the cold, eventually you're going to lose the blood in your fingers and your toes to shunt it to your organs, your viscera, to keep you alive. That's how the body works. It's always going to prioritize. It does the same thing with your pH. So if we're not putting in these foods that alkalize and energize your body starts to use its own resources, like calcium from your bones, magnesium from your muscles, minerals from your mouth. And what happens is your body starts to fall apart to break down, all to bring those minerals into the blood so it can neutralize the high acid level. So we're basically doing that for you. What these recipes do is they reduce that acid so your body doesn't have to work so hard doing the regulating on its own.
Can you just speak very briefly so for a person living with chronic disease, how important it is to be on the acid kicking meal plan?
There's nothing more important. You know, it's never too late. My dad had cancer. They gave him a few months. We put him on a 100% alkaline diet. He hated it. He was, old school Italian father. But it was a game changer. It wasn't enough to save his life because the cancer was so far in, but it prolonged his life by 3 years. And I'll never forget when his doctor called me up after my dad had passed. And he said, Daryl, I don't understand most of what you did with your father, but I absolutely can confirm this, that what you did prolonged his life, but more important, his quality of life. And, kept him around long enough to have more time with us. I wear his ashes right here. This is my why. This is my purpose. He got to meet my daughter. So it doesn't matter the name. It could be heart disease, cancer, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. That's the fifth stage of acidosis. There's a progressive building up of what acid does to the body. And think about it from a common standpoint. It's corrosive. It eats away at your body. So someone in that state, it's never more important, because listen, just because you're given a diagnosis, it doesn't mean that you cannot heal your body. It's one thing I always say to everybody: there's no such thing as incurable diseases, only incurable people. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. If you argue with your limitations, they're going to be yours. The worst thing a doctor can do is say, you have 6 months to live. Don't ever put that limitation on me or my life, because I'm going to prove that that's wrong. So my point with all that is, just start. Get these healthy nutrients into the body, and you never know how powerful that body is to heal anything. There's never been a single disease that I've seen that can't go into remission.
Amazing. So, we have a couple of questions that have come in from people watching. One of them is this woman, she boils water every day and puts lemon wedges in, squeezes lemon wedges and drinks that water throughout the day. Is that still considered alkaline water?
Yeah, remember, lemons are acidic outside the body, but we don't care about that. We care about what that food does inside the body once it metabolizes the body. So lemons are high in minerals and low in sugar. So I'm a big fan of that. Just one thing you got to be careful of is putting the lemon in the water when it's too hot, because that hot boiling water can actually degrade the nutrients in the lemon and not make it as powerful. So I let the water maybe cool down just a little bit, then add your lemon slice. Same thing if we're making a detox tea. I love turmeric, ginger, lemon, black pepper tea. But what I'll do is I'll boil the water. And then once it's boiling, I'll take it off of the heated stove. I'll move it over to a stove that wasn't heated. Then I'll add in my turmeric, I'll add in my ginger and my black pepper. I'll steep that for 10 or 15 minutes. And then I'll wait until it cools down a little bit. I'll pour it into a glass. That's when I'll add my lemon. Because again, I'm always going to do my best to preserve the nutrients in the food.
So you want to explain why you add black pepper?
Yeah, black pepper increases the potency of the turmeric by 2,000%. It makes it just much more active. So just a little pinch is all you need, but it's important to do that.
Another question is, if you couldn't afford a molecular hydrogen water machine, is there a supplement that you would recommend to put hydrogen in water?
Yes, my good friend Paul Baratero, he wrote he co-wrote the chapter in my first book, Get Off Your Acid, on hydration. Very good friend of mine, foremost authority in the world on molecular hydrogen, and he's also in my new book as well. So if you can't afford that, they do make little drops and tablets that you could put into the water that will give you the same exact dosage, 1.5 parts per million on average or so per glass of hydrogen water, which is a selective antioxidant, super powerful. There's over 1,000 studies on what this does. And by the way, hydrogen water is the only thing that can outpace the damaging effects of an antibiotic. So, that's another story. If you have to take an antibiotic, the only time we should take it is if you're going to die. It's way too overprescribed. But if you have to take an antibiotic, a lot of people will say, oh, take a probiotic. Yes, you should take a probiotic, but a probiotic cannot touch the damaging effects of what an antibiotic does to the microbiome. Hydrogen water in the research shows that it can actually outpace the damaging effects by building up your anaerobic microflora faster in the gut than what the hydrogen can break it down. So that's something that works really well. But realize this, that in the short run, you'll save money. But remember, like every time you're going to use those on an ongoing basis, in the long run, it's actually going to probably cost you more if you keep on using it. So yeah, in my office, we have a great hydrogen water machine in my home as well. And it's a phenomenal investment. They have different levels as well. So something I highly suggest people do. It's my favorite form of water.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for your time and taking a little bit of a deep dive into all your success stories. And we are now so happy to be partnering with you and have our success stories together and feeding people and creating this acid kicking community and really helping people change their health. We are really looking forward to doing this in person someday and have an at the table, not a virtual dinner, but an actual dinner, and talk more and take a deeper dive into what you do. But thank you for everything, Dr. Darryl. We are just super excited about this.
Oh no, thank you.
You kick acid.
And you're an acid kicker too. I appreciate you as always, and I couldn't be more thrilled about this partnership. It's absolutely incredible. We're just getting started. If you're out there, you haven't tried it yet, please check it out. It's a game changer. It's going to make it easier for you to live this lifestyle. And I don't think it's never been a more important time to go from stress eating to strength eating than right now. So it's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure. And I think we're going to get there sooner than we all think as far as being able to get back into connection. It's important. But we're going to break, as they say, break bread. We're going to be breaking some acid kicking foods together.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be pulling sprouts apart.
Yeah, totally. But thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to doing this again with you, and keep on doing all the great things you guys are doing at Daily Dose. I love and appreciate you for what you created. There's such a massive creator in the market for this. You fulfilled that, and you're helping people get healthier every day. And I can't wait to see more of these powerful testimonials coming in, some of which we shared tonight. So thank you so much.